A very warm good morning to one and all present here. I warmly welcome all our respected dignitaries, faculty members, speakers, researchers, and the participants to day 2 of the 2-day national seminar on GST reforms, sectoral growth, unlocking potential in manufacturing services, e-commerce, insurance, healthcare, and real estate. We hope everyone had an enriching and insightful day 1. On day 1, we had a thematic session with Ms. Bhumika Chaitanya Agarwal, and second session with Mr. Swapnil Chenvi, and third session with Ms. Payal Ramnikbhai Shah. Today, we look forward to continuing this seminar with research paper presentations, a roundtable discussion, and an engaging panel discussion.
As we move forward with day 2 of our seminar, I would once again like to express our gratitude to ICSSR for collaborating with St. Francis Institute of Management and Research to organize this 2-day national seminar and for supporting this academic initiative. We will now begin the first session of the day, which is dedicated to research paper presentations. This session provides an excellent platform for scholars and researchers to present their work and contribute to meaningful academic dialogue on GST and its sectoral impact.
Before we proceed, let us welcome Dr. Simi Rani Prasad and Dr. Sandeep Kutkar, the session chairs of the paper presentation seminar today. Dr. Simi Rani Prasad is an associate professor in the MMS department with over 30 years of teaching and corporate experience in marketing management, holding a PhD in management along with MBA, MA, and BSc. She has built a robust academic career across Nagpur, Pune, and Mumbai University. Her specialized focus lies in services marketing and retail management, complemented by early industry experience with Lokmat Group of newspapers. As a dedicated researcher, she has published several studies on consumer perceptions and innovation within the telecom and retail sectors. A lifelong member of AICT, she consistently enhances her expertise through advanced programs in data analytics and research methodology, ensuring her teaching remains aligned with modern industry standards. May I request Simi Rani Prasad to kindly come forward for the felicitation. We kindly request our student coordinator, Ms. Harshali, to present a token of appreciation to Professor Simi Prasad.
Now let me introduce you all to Dr. Sandeep Kutkar. Dr. Kutkar is an assistant professor in the MMS department with a highly distinguished background spanning both the corporate and academic sectors. He holds a PhD in management from NMIMS University, along with a master's in finance management and a bachelor's in electrical engineering from the University of Mumbai. Before entering academia in 2012, Dr. Kutkar spent 21 years in senior corporate roles at prestigious organizations like Godrej & Boyce and HCL Infosystems, serving as a project manager, corporate finance manager, and investment banker. Currently, he specializes in teaching finance and operations with an impressive research portfolio of 18 published papers and multiple book chapters. His expertise is recognized globally, having served as a reviewer for international journals and as an expert professor for the AICTE's SLA project. This unique blend of 2 decades of industry leadership and over 11 years of academic excellence allows him to offer deeply practical insights into financial markets and project management. May I kindly request Professor Sandeep to come forward for the felicitation. We kindly request that our student coordinator, Harshali, present the token of appreciation to Dr. Sandeep Kutkar.
Now, let us begin with the paper presentations. Before we begin, let me give the participants the reminder of the guidelines of the paper presentation. Each speaker will have 12 minutes to present. A bell will ring after 10 minutes as a reminder that there are left only 2 minutes to conclude. A short question and answer session will be held, which will be for 3 minutes after regarding the presentation. The presentation time is strictly limited to 12 minutes. The presentation may briefly cover the following aspects. First, the introduction of the topic for 10 marks, objectives of the study, again for 10 marks, methodology, 10 marks, key findings, results, and then the conclusion and implications, which is also for 10 marks. And then the question and answer round, which is also for 10 marks. Now, let us welcome our first participant.
Okay, the first participant for the paper presentation is Mr. Soham Sachin Uttekar, 001 code, and his research is on the title of the research is Impact of UPI and Digital Payments on GST Compliance and Various Economic Sectors in India. Okay, code number 002, Mrs. Priyanka Sharma. Her title for the research is GST Reforms and Sectoral Growth, Unlocking Potential in E-Commerce.
Good morning, respected chairperson, honorable judges, and all dear participants. It is pleasure to be here for this national seminar. My name is Priyanka, and today I will present my concept-based paper, GST Reforms and Sectoral Growth Unlocking in the Potential E-Commerce. We stand here in March 2026. We are looking at digital landscape that has been fundamentally reshaped by one of the most significant tax reform in Indian history. Now let me ask a question. How many of us purchase something online? Most of us. Now, this shows how deeply e-commerce has entered our daily life. Now, come to the next introduction. To understand where we are, we must look at where we started. The introduction of GST was watershed moment that consolidated multiple indirect taxes into a one, which has been streamlined the tax system. The primary goal was to enhance the transparency and remove tax on tax effect that plagued our previous system. This reform did not just change how we paid tax, it supercharged our digital economy. India's e-commerce sector is a powerhouse, currently projected to reach the staggering $163 billion market by end of this year. By simplifying this process and reducing interstate tax, GST has essentially leveled the playing field for business regardless for their home state. Now, these are the listing key terms which I used in my paper. Now, conceptual framework of my paper. Before we deep dive, let's look at the legislative backbone. Concepts like Digital India and online enterprises are now inseparable from GST. We transformed a destination-based tax approach which ensures that revenue is distributed equally based on where goods are consumed rather than where it is produced. Technically, the system relies on streamlined rates, primary 5% GST to 18% GST, although luxury and sin goods carried high rate of tax to discourage consumption and boost revenue. What truly changed game? However, digital invoicing, online return filing. By digitalized paper, we have significantly reduced the tax evasion. Key term like ITC and tax collected source are introduced level of accountability, transparency that was previously unimaginable in the e-commerce space. The growth we see today, led by giant e-commerce platform like Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, has fundamentally altered consumer behavior. We move from fragmented market to modernized, transparent, and ecosystem where efficiency is new standard. Now this paper is built on 4 pillars. First, examine the reforms themselves. Second, analyze how they drive sectorial growth. Third, understand the specific implication for platform. And finally, identifying the remaining hurdles we must clear. Our objectives are split into 2 dimensions. First focus on direct influence, that is influence of GST reform on e-commerce, and second at the ripple effect of it, that GST powered growth across retail, logistic, fintech, and most important small and medium enterprises. Now next is influence of GST reform on e-commerce. Now how it is affected GST on the e-commerce platform. GST has influenced e-commerce in several important ways. First is remove the multiple state level taxes, earlier created complication into the interstate taxes trade. Second, GST introduced TCS for e-commerce operators, and most important, online sellers are required to register GST, which improves the accountability. Another major benefit is improved logistic and supply chain efficiency, because business no longer needed warehouse in each state to avoid the taxes. So overall, GST helped to create more organized, transparent, and easy for online sellers. Now next is sectorial growth powered by GST. GST reforms have also encouraged growth across various sectors connected to e-commerce. For example, customer and retail products are expanded throughout online platform. Now due to the online access, everyone has got chance to access the market easily. A normal consumer, a normal person also can get products throughout the e-commerce platform. Now logistic and transportation make it easier. Fintech and digital payments systems have grown significantly. Most important, small and medium enterprises also get access to national market throughout the e-commerce platform. Now, earlier small business are limited to the local market, but now throughout e-commerce and GST they can sell product across India. This major step towards inclusive economic growth. I have taken an example, one of the most e-commerce platform, Amazon. Now look at a concrete example, Amazon India. For Amazon, GST meant to total simplification of their tax structure, but it is also required a single one for their seller to register for GST. Now this slide is highlighted to the tax revised at source, TCS, and changes Amazon its own services commission has forced to modification in pricing strategy to meet the shifting customer demand and its delicate balance between the compliance and growth. Now, here's the data analysis after GST growth, how the market has affected and made the growth after GST. Now, GST impact on Amazon. Looking at the logistic efficiency index, there is a pre-GST and post-GST era. Efficiency nearly doubled because of trucks are no longer to waited at state border for multiple taxes and entry checks. Similarly, Amazon seller growth index shown even with the stricter compliance, number of marketplace sellers has skyrocket sales boost and nearly double between 2017 to 2025. It's proved that transparency attracts participants rather than scaring them. Now, this is the conclusion part of this example. Of course, it has been easy, but while unified national taxation system, the easier interstate tax sales, we must acknowledge the challenges also. Complex compliances and small vendors and cash flow impact, TCS remain significant main point. Now, I would like to conclude my paper. In conclusion, GST has formalized India's e-commerce sector. It has facilitated trade by removing barriers and increasing consumer trust. However, our digital economy to reach its full potential, policymakers must continue to refine these regulations to support small enterprises and reduce the administrative burden. The future of our economy will be reshaped by every interplay between the tax policy and digital innovation. Now, these are the reference of my paper, and I would like to end my presentation with this slogan: One Nation, One Tax, 1 billion opportunity, and e-commerce is the key to unlock them. Thank you for your time and attention. Yeah. If you
Just because the last line is very impactful: one nation, one tax, 1 billion opportunities. What was its impact on how it affected SME? Because you have also covered SMEs. And one more question: what was the methodology? It was a case study method, which you.
Ma'am, it is a descriptive method,
Okay.
a concept-based paper.
It is a conceptual paper.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Ma'am, if you see, take the example, suppose someone, एक कोई लेडी है जो कि स्मॉल एंटरप्राइज मतलब घर से कोई बिजनेस कर रही है, बट फॉर देम इट इज़ डिफ़िकल्ट टू ट्रेड pre GST era, it is difficult to trade to her to other state, but now it is easy for her to register with the e-commerce and trade with the other state also. So it helps to small industry, small enterprises to boost. Yes.
what do you think? Which sector has benefited the most?
Ma'am, for me, it's like consumer are more purchased product, so mainly production, manufacture has boosted. So we can say, I can say, e-commerce has boosted more.
Okay. And last question which I would like to ask is this what is the, there was a second round of reform in September 2025, right?
Yes.
So what changes you have noticed while making this conceptual paper? The second round of GST reform, earlier it was introduced in 2017, right? And then the two slab was introduced in 2017. So how it impacted the sector which you have studied?
Ma'am, pre-GSTs, like we have to pay state taxes, which impacted the sellers more. And after GST, they have one nation, one tax. Through this, they have to just pay the taxes to the directly. It's a consumption-based tax, destination-based tax. So seller have to just register with the e-commerce, and suppose अगर just may you repeat the question again?
Rounds of reforms. The latest round, second round of reforms started after in the year 2025, September 2025.
Yes, this is
right.
new GST.
So, what changes you observed for the SME sector or the sector you have studied, like e-commerce?
Ma'am, they promote changes between the GST,
Earlier
GST
and now.
last
Yeah.
GST. So, ma'am, they have exempted most of the goods, which is necessity, like insurance. If we say the insurance, they have.
What about your e-commerce? Because that's
Achha,
what you have
e-commerce.
studied.
In e-commerce, ma'am, I have to do the more research because it's
Because I think there are two slabs only, 5%, 18%.
5% and 18%.
That's what I was expecting.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sure.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Do you know GST filing?
GST?
GST filing.
GST finding.
Can you do GST filing?
Filing. Okay, we can do the GST filing online GST portal.
Okay. What are the forms available for GST filing?
GST. I exactly didn't remember, but GST. I can misinterpret it, sir.
Okay. What are the challenges a small e-commerce player who is dealing with Amazon he face when he do GST filing?
During GST filing, he must have to register with the GST. He must to register first of all online GST portal, and then they have to pay the जो भी working capital होता है उनका वो influence होता है because of they paid earlier and they get settlement later on.
Okay. For this research, what type of data you have collected?
Data.
Yeah. Primary, secondary.
Secondary data.
Secondary data. What are the sources for the data?
Online.
Online.
Yes.
Okay, have you collected any data related to Amazon? How many sellers are there for Amazon?
Sellers percentage. Sir, I have to do the more numbers on. I don't know exact number actually.
Okay. So, what is your final conclusion of your research?
My final conclusion is after GST, the sale was tier 2 cities and 3 cities are consumption and orders are increased, and sellers are also increased their sales because of GST implementation.
Okay, if I ask you one question, if I make a statement that the growth of GST in India, the biggest reason for that is Amazon, would you be agree with that? Biggest reason for GST growth in India is Amazon. Would you be agree with that?
Only Amazon we can say because of there is a multiple e-commerce competitors. Amazon acquiring 39% of the market and 49% acquired by the Flipkart.
What is the total market size?
from for Amazon.
No, for total GST filers. Total
It's approx $161 billion.
160?
160, approx $161 billion.
That is economic value of that.
Yes.
How many people file GST? Especially in e-commerce.
People file GST. So I don't know exact the numbers.
Oh,
of it.
oh, fine.
I'll ask very simple from this
Oh, yeah,
statement.
sure.
One nation, one tax, 1 billion opportunities. There's one word missing. What is that? One nation, one tax. Then there is one particular.
One economy.
No,
One nation economy.
it's one nation, one tax. Yesterday you were there.
Yes.
It was told by the Joint Commissioner.
One nation, one marketplace.
Yes, it's one market.
one marketplace,
One nation,
because-
one tax, and one
And
market.
one marketplace economy.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any question for a student? Any question from participants? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we welcome our next participant, Apurva Kanodia, code number 003, research title Impact of GST Reforms on the Growth and Compliance Framework of the E-commerce Sector in India.
Today, India has more than 260 million online shoppers, and the e-commerce market is expected to reach around $345 billion by 2030. This rapid growth makes it important to understand how tax reforms like GST influence the digital economy. Good morning, respected chairperson, distinguished guests, and my fellow participants. My name is Apurva. Today, I am presenting my research paper titled Impact of GST Reforms on the Growth and Compliance Framework of the E-commerce Sector in India. The purpose of this study is to examine how GST reforms have influenced the growth, taxation structure, and compliance requirements of the commerce sector in India. The goods and service tax implemented in July 2017 is considered one of the most important tax reforms in India. It was amended on the 101st amendment by the Council, and it was introduced in 2017. It was divided into 4 types of GST, that is the CGST, SGST, IGST and UTGST. Before GST, the indirect tax system was a complex and fragmented. Businesses had to deal with multiple taxes such as VAT, service tax, excise duty, central states tax, and octroi. Each state had different tax rules which created problems for businesses operating across state boundaries. The e-commerce sector, which depends heavily on interstate trading and digital transactions, faced significant difficulties under this system. Online sellers had to comply with different tax regulations in multiple states, increasing operational complexity and cost. The introduction of GST aimed to simplify the tax structure, removing the cascading effects of tax, and create a unified nation market. The objective of the study of the research are to analyze the taxation structure affecting e-commerce before GST, to evaluate the benefits of GST for the e-commerce sector, and to study the role of GST in promoting digital commerce in India. The methodology used is, the research is based on mainly secondary data analysis from government publications, which were found that there was increase in registrations, boosted interstate trade, reduced entry barriers. From the research journals which states or which found out post GST, higher sales volume and market penetration, faster adoption of digital payment system in e-commerce. Articles and policy papers were used in the methodology as well. Initial compliance were the challenges faced by the small business, but eventually they were handed on. Reports which market grew to $125 US billion plus post GST. The 2 and 3 tier cities contribute to significant growth. The taxation structure before GST. Before the introduction of GST, taxation structure before GST. Before the introduction of GST on July 2017, the taxation system was complex and multi-layered. Multiple indirect taxes imposed separately by central government and state government. Excise duty, which were on manufacturing of goods, service tax on the services, custom duty on imports and exports, central sales tax on interstate sales, octroi toll-free tax on goods when they were entered in a city, was abolished after GST 2017. Impact of growth on GST. GST reforms have significantly influenced the growth of India's e-commerce sector. Before the introduction of GST, the e-commerce faced various issues regarding the taxation system because there were multiple taxes like VAT, service tax, excise duty and octroi. Different state rules in each state made compliance difficult for the online business. Each state has its own tax rates and regulation. Difficulties for companies like Amazon and Flipkart, complicated pricing and billing system before GST. Complex logistics and checkpoints before GST, which created interstate movement of goods, involved checkposts, entry taxes, documentation delays. Problems faced were slower deliveries and higher transportation costs. Confusion in the tax treatments, disputes whether transactions were goods or service in the e-commerce. Different states made different interpretations on it before GST. Warehousing issues, companies had to maintain warehouses in multiple states to avoid higher taxes, which increased their operational cost. After GST, the creation of a single market has made interstate online trade easier. More businesses have entered the formal economy through GST registrations. Government GST revenue has increased significantly, showing improved tax compliance. As a result, the digital commerce ecosystem in India continued to expand rapidly. The future prospects of GST, which is growth in online entrepreneurship. The future of India's commerce sector looks very promising. No longer limited to metro cities, users from small towns increased participation of local sellers via platforms like Meesho. With increasing internet penetration, digital payments such as UPI and improved logistics infrastructure, online commerce is expected to grow rapidly. D2C, direct to customer, which reduces the dependency on middlemen. Reports suggest that India's e-commerce market could reach around $345 US billion by 2030, showing strong long-term growth. Increased use in smartphone usage, platforms like Amazon, Flipkart will continue expanding deeper into small cities. To conclude, e-commerce sector is now operated in a more transparent, efficient and predictable environment. Uniform tax structure has improved the ease of doing business, encouraged formalization and strengthened the integration of national market. Overall, GST had laid a strong foundation for a cohesive economic system, fostering growth, competitiveness and long-term sustainability. Flourishing under GST, e-commerce is witnessing substantial growth and emerging as a dynamic and well-integrated part of the Indian economy under GST. With billions of digital transactions and hundreds of millions of internet users, digital adoption has become a key driver of e-commerce growth in India. GST has enabled a nationwide growth, by removing regional barriers, allowing businesses to operate seamlessly across India. Last slide. Yeah. So the key takeaways are India's e-commerce market is valued at 13,04,703 crores in 2025. It is expected to grow to 29,88,735 crores by 2030. Nearly 342 million Indians actively shop online as of 25. India's retail e-commerce penetration is projected to increase significantly by 2028 and beyond. India has become one of the largest e-commerce market in the world by number of shoppers. To conclude, GST has played a significant role in transforming the taxation framework of India's e-commerce sector. It has improved transparency, simplified taxation, and support the growth of e-commerce, digital commerce. However, compliance challenges still exist, particularly for small sellers and MSMEs. Therefore, further policy improvements and simplified compliance mechanisms will be essential to support the long-term growth of India's digital economy. Thank you.
So, I was expecting some data so that I can ask question. Because your first objective of the study is before GST and after GST, right?
Yeah.
So, can you give us some insight to means how the thing has changed before GST? Because we can see a figure here that in 2025 some figure is you have shown. I can't read. Okay. So, what was before? What was after? Because that was the first objective, and how did you meet this objective?
Yeah, so I do not have exact figures, but
Before.
yeah, but the problems faced in e-commerce before GST was interstate deliveries and everything. They had to create warehouses in every states to exclude the taxes which were on interstate deliveries and everything. So after the implementation of GST, it was abolished, or it wasn't that hard for them to, like, the operational cost was reduced.
How it was reduced?
Because because of GST, right?
GST, like
Yeah,
which part? Which part contributed the most?
Sorry?
Which part contributed the most? As you said, no, you don't need to have your warehouse and everything.
Warehouses.
So it is supply chain.
Yeah,
So it is
Supply
cascading
chain.
effect of taxes. That's you want to say.
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And the second was what is the benefit, right? So have you studied the role of SMEs?
Not
No.
sure.
Yes or no?
No.
Okay. So, because you have mentioned that you have collected data from various publications, what kind of data? Because nothing much is shown here.
Yeah.
Hmm?
The data from the government publications, which
Like?
only shows that there has been increase in registration.
Increase in registration.
Yeah.
What is the percentage of increase?
Not really.
Not sure. Okay. No problem. So it's the role pre-GST, pre-first reform and second reform. I'm sorry, first and second reform. Is there any?
During the second reform, which was on September, right? Which
This
is
data is post second reform.
no.
2025, pre-second reform. Okay.
So, I guess around the second reform, the GST rates were reduced in the e-commerce sector from 18% to 12%.
There are two slabs now, na?
Yeah,
Which are two slabs?
I don't really know the two slabs, but the GST rates were reduced, and some were
Generally, there are two
exempted.
slabs, 5 and 18. But
Yeah.
for luxury goods, it can be more, 40% up to.
Yeah.
For luxury goods and sin product like alcohol and something like highly luxury product like luxury cars and all.
Okay. You are an MBA student?
Sorry?
You are an MBA student?
No.
Then what graduation you are doing?
Pursuing MCOM.
You are doing MCOM.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I must congratulate you that you dare to write a paper and present in front of this crowd. because it takes ages to write a good research paper. Okay, you will have to take a lot of efforts and pain. But my simple question, can you explain what GST mean for you as a MCOM student?
An opportunity to the growing individual who wants to enter into the e-commerce market. It is an opportunity for them regarding the compliance structure that has been reduced as compared to the past compliance system. It is slightly reduced for the new entrants in the e-commerce sector.
Okay. And since you are MCOM student, what is the one thing that you can describe about GST 2.0?
Considering the GST 2.0, it is considering the government has considered every aspect of the business or whatever the field that is existing to ease their difficulties that is faced by them and to reduce the GST compliance or anything related to GST to make it easier for them so that new participants can enter into that field
Okay.
and register in the GST.
During budget presentation, our finance minister said that the objective of GST 2.0 is to increase the consumption. Do you agree with that statement?
Partially.
How?
Increase in consumption, okay, because there is rise in population, of course, but increase in seller, which creates a revenue and source of income for them also, which contributes to the part of India's economy.
Okay.
We encourage the students also to ask questions. Okay. I second what Dr. Sandeep said. It's really a good effort that you have come forward and then did some research and then presenting it to the audience. A long mile to go. You can definitely do better. But I wanted to ask you only one thing. In the first slide you mentioned about the 4 different aspects. Like GST, normally we follow the dual system. CGST and
SGST.
the SGST. You have mentioned 2 more, integrated as well as union territory.
UTGST, yeah.
Can you just give a brief elaboration about those 2? What do you understand by integrated GST and the union territory GST?
Integrated GST is basically when there is a transaction between 2 different states, and for parts of country which are not included under the states, those are the UTs, which are basically managed by the government appointed governors. So they are very small part of the country to have actually a government like just we have for state and central government. So
Well said. Okay. Yesterday you were there?
no.
No. There was an indication about the 2.0, what Dr. Sandeep was asking and Dr. Simi was also asking. There was a shift in terms of the revenue gained out of the GST from 87,000 crore to 2 lakh crore. Okay, so that's the impact which based on the consumption which the public and the private players that have taken. In that, Amazon played a very vital role. But then there was also an indication about there is an effect called cascading effect,
Yeah,
which you also referred.
yeah.
What exactly you understand by this cascading effect?
In every level that a good is produced and pushed it forward to reach it its end customer, first of all, the GST does not promote cascading effect. And before GST, it was like the taxes were added by the middlemen for their profit percentage.
Okay, how was it different from the previous one before GST implementation? What were the taxes involved?
Yeah, the excise tax,
Excise,
the
sales-
VAT,
VAT.
sales tax on manufacturing services
Exactly.
के लिए सब अलग-अलग था.
So it is
So it
that is
all
exactly the
comes
cascading
under
effect.
GST, yeah.
So GST is advantageous or disadvantage?
Advantage, of course.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
We move on to our next presenters, Ms. Hiral Mishra and Ms. Sumedha Maheshwari, code number 006, and their research title is The Impact of GST Reforms on the Growth of the Indian Insurance Sector.
Good morning, everyone. I, Sumedha Maheshwari, along with my co-presenter Hiral Mishra, we will be presenting our research on the topic Impact of GST Reforms on the Growth of Indian Insurance Sector. So let's take a look at the introduction. So GST was introduced in India in 2017 to replace multiple indirect taxes like VAT, service tax, excise duty, etc. The main aim was to simplify the tax system and improve transparency. The insurance sector plays a very important role in providing financial security and risk protection. Recently, however, after GST, the insurance premium included 18% GST, which increased the cost of policies. Recently, GST reforms in 2025 removed GST on life and health insurance, which is expected to improve affordability and increase insurance demand. The main objectives of our study include to understand GST and its applicability to the insurance sector, to examine the impact of GST reforms on insurance premiums, to analyze the growth and performance of the insurance sector, and to study the challenges and opportunities created by GST. So our study is based on descriptive and analytical research design. It uses secondary data collected from sources such as IRDAI reports, GST Council reports, economic survey, and industry reports. The data covers the period from 2017 to 2026. The tools used for analysis include trend analysis, comparative analysis, and paired t-test. So this data analysis shows the GST reform table. This slide shows the comparison before and after GST reforms. Before the reform, insurance premiums had 18% GST, which increased the cost and reduced affordability. After the reform, GST was reduced to 0%, making insurance more affordable. For example, a 20,000 premium was actually costing 23,600, but now it only costs 20,000. This has made insurance more accessible and encouraged more people to purchase the policies. This graph shows the growth of life insurance premiums from August to October. In August, growth declined by around 5%. In September, it recovered to around 5%, and in October, it increased to around 12%, showing strong improvement. This upward trend indicates increasing demand for insurance, mainly due to GST reforms that reduce the premium costs. To test the impact statistically, a paired t-test was used. The null hypothesis states that there is no significant difference in premiums, while the alternative hypothesis states that there is a significant increase. The p-value obtained is 0.119, which is greater than 0.25. So we fail to reject the null hypothesis, meaning the increase is not statistically significant, although a positive trend is observed. Further will be continued by Hiral.
So let's take a look at the findings of our study. Insurance policies are now more inexpensive for policyholders due to the elimination of the 18% GST on life and health insurance premium. In October 2025, the life insurance industry grew by 12.1% year over year, a sign of better demand and insurance markets rebound following the GST reform. For a policy with a rupees 20,000 premium, policyholders can save roughly rupees 2,700 on health insurance premiums and rupees 3,600 on life insurance premium yearly. The GST exemption is anticipated to promote financial inclusion by increasing insurance usage, especially among middle-class households and residents of rural and semi-urban areas. The tax benefit is primarily applicable to life and health insurance plans, as general insurance products, including auto, property, and travel insurance, continue to be subject to 18% GST. Coming to suggestions. Firstly, to make general insurance goods like auto, property, and travel insurance more accessible to consumers, the government may think about lowering GST on them. In order to inform consumers about the advantages of insurance and the most recent GST legislation, insurance companies should expand their awareness campaigns and financial literacy initiatives. Since insurance penetration is still low in rural and semi-urban regions, more attention should be paid to increase insurance coverage. To make it easier for consumers to buy and renew insurance companies should implement more digital platforms and streamline policy procedures. To encourage more insurance penetration and strengthen the expansion of the insurance industry, legislations and regulators should keep enacting favorable laws and incentives. The study concludes that the expansion of Indian insurance industry has been significantly influenced by GST legislation. The elimination of GST on life and health insurance premium has increased the affordability of insurance products and lessened the financial strain on policyholders. Consumer participation has increased as a result of this regulatory move, which has also helped the market insurance rates rise. Additionally, the reform supports the government overall goal and increasing insurance coverage nationwide and fostering financial inclusion. In general, it is anticipated that GST reforms will boost economic long-term stability and the insurance industry. Thank you.
So, very interesting sector, insurance. It is very important for the growth of the country. Since you have conducted the research, do you have any idea how insured we are? How insured our country is? I mean, insurance penetration. You said it is low. Like, how low?
We don't have the statistics, but it is low in the rural and urban area because they don't know, basically. The awareness is not there.
Awareness is not there. Because countries, the developed countries like USA and other developed countries, they have 100% insurance, right? And in our country, we have very low insurance. So, since you are doing this paper, so you should have the data, like how insured our country is, because one of your objective is to study how the insurance coverage has gone up, right? And this is like second round of GST reform and post, right? That's what you are saying. Am I right?
Yes.
Your objective is to study after second round of reform, means when the GST,
2025.
how it has gone up.
Yes.
And your test shows that it is not significant. Why?
Because the data is actually very small. We only took October 2024 and October 2025. The data is small. That is why it's not significantly proved.
Okay, yeah, because it is not even 1 year,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, so like, what do you think? What do you suggest to improve this penetration, like insurance penetration? Because it is a highly underinsured country. In India, people do not have insurance. Most of the people, less than 10%, I think. I don't have the figure right now. So do you know? Do you have the figure? So what do you think? What do you suggest beside this GST reform?
I think the insurance companies can make more programs basically to educate people that it is necessary, because I think as Indians we feel nothing will happen, it will go on, but I think it's important that more financial literacy program should be taken into account so that we can make the people understand that it is necessary and you have to take it.
It is like housing, clothing, and education and insurance.
Yeah.
It is that necessary.
Yeah, it's basic
So
necessity
basically, in India, we do not have that kind of
now.
sense.
Yes.
Okay, so GST reform can be one of the things.
Okay, good attempt, but you could have done better. One thing that ma'am asked about the total population, which is covered under insurance. When you are doing research on any topic, you should start from the top. You should know what is the entire population, and then you should move downward. Okay, so it should be top to bottom approach. One suggestion. In your statistical test, you have used life insurance policies, okay? But the bigger impact of this GST 2.0 is on medical insurance, okay? So my suggestion is that you can also test another hypothesis in terms of medical insurance. You can select a company like ICSSR Lombard. And what is the impact of their number of their policies in these 2 months? If you can add to this research, then it will become more comprehensive. Okay, so that is one suggestion from my side, and congratulations for your efforts.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, congratulations for
Thank
a
you,
good
sir.
effort. But I just wanted to ask, why did you apply paired t-test?
Because we are comparing the insurance premiums of the October 2024 and October 2025.
What is the sample, your sample?
We took secondary data.
Secondary data.
Yes.
So this October 24 data and October 25 data, they are two different samples, or it is derived from one sample? When you have two different samples, you need to apply two independent sample t-tests, not the paired t-test. When you have one sample and at two different point in time, the data are collected, then only you can apply the paired t-test. It all depends on the sample, not on the basis of the data set only. So possibly you can try with two independent sample t-test, but the sample size should be significantly larger. If you take only 10 or 15, it doesn't work. You need to have a minimum of t-test requires 30, so minimum of 30 samples required, 30 data sets, data points required. But if you have one sample at two different point of contact, point of time, you take the sample, then it can have a paired t-test. But if it is two different samples altogether, then you have to apply two independent sample t-test. Okay, try this out, and then and as Sandeep sir indicated, you can even go for further hypothesis. Not to restrict with one hypothesis, you can go for further hypothesis. Because this test has indicated a sort of contradiction, which you said that insurance has actually impacted from being 20,000 to 23,500. After GST, the individual need to pay only 20,000. So that means there is an impact. So it has to be consolidated by the t-test or the ANOVA test through the statistical mode. Okay, try this and then get back to me.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. We will now have a short tea break. Participants are invited to take this time to refresh themselves and interact with fellow delegates. We kindly request everyone to assemble in the hall in about 10 minutes, which is at 11:45 sharp, as we will soon begin and continue with the other paper presentations. Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. May I request everybody to kindly be seated. We are proceeding with the paper presentations.
We have our next participant, Ms. Mehek Chudasan, the code number 007, research title, Impact of GST Rate Changes on the Financial Services Sector in India, Evidence from Practitioners and Financial Service Providers.
Hello. Good morning, one and all present here. So today I'll be talking about the impact of GST rate changes on the financial service sector in India, evidence from the practitioners and the financial service provider. So as we already know that GST is implemented in 2017, then 2.0 that GST reforms has come in 2025. So mainly GST focused on removing the different taxes that were there in India, that focuses on the excise duty, service tax and VAT, and making a one umbrella under that all the goods and services been taxed. So talking about the financial service sector that my research is focusing on, mainly face the challenge due to the multi-tax system that is there. And as the financial service sector is a major contribution in our GDP, and I've collected the data from the practitioners who implement the GST and the financial service provider who are the owner of the company as well. So talking about the problem statement, then GST is the main aim of GST is to reduce all the taxes that are there in India earlier and make it a one umbrella. But financial service sector, because of the services that they are providing, they face the challenges in the ITC compliance process. So because of that, I mainly focus on how the actual problem is and how practitioners and financial service providers, what are their viewpoint on the same. Objective of my research is to examine the GST framework applicable in financial service sector, to analyze the changes in GST rate, regulatory reforms affecting the financial service sector, evaluate the impact of GST rate changes on operational compliance for the financial service firm, analyze the viewpoint of practitioners and the financial service provider related to GST. Talking about the literature review, then there are many research has been conducted on the different sector, include the real estate, then insurance, banking, but none of them has focused on the financial service sector on an overview aspect, and none of them were focused on the primary data from the one who has actually implemented the GST and one who is paying the GST. So both of the point of view has not been actually considered yet. So that is the gap of my research. I've used quantitative approach with a descriptive cross-sectional design, purposive sampling with the snowball distribution channel have used. Practitioners who implement the GST were 56, financial service provider were the 45. Primary data collected from the structure questionnaire, secondary data collected from the online medium government portals or the articles. Or statistical tool, I've used Excel, SPSS, t-test and regression for my hypothesis testing. These were my hypothesis. Overview of that GST implementation has not significantly increased operation and the compliance cost. The mean difference from the point of view of the practitioners and from the financial service provider. Then a GST framework, understanding regulatory reform and compliance burden doesn't have a significant influence on a practitioner's perspective, and same from the financial service provider as well. This was the data collected from the secondary analysis. Then in our GDP contribution in Q3, that growth is 7.8%. That mainly driven in the GDP is 53.6%. That comes from the financial service sector. In that, if you bifurcate, then in the 27% come from the financial, real estate and professional service providers. Talking about the GST application in a financial service, then loan processing charges, credit card service, brokerage, ATM are the 18% slab. Interest on the loan deposits are the exempt as of now in the GST 2.0. When you compare it with the earlier GST, then individual life insurance and health insurance is now exempted, and the other slabs are mainly targeted on the 18% only. Major changes we see from the secondary data with the tax changes from 15 to 18%. Operational cost, compliance cost and customer charges have slightly increased in the financial service domain. This is the data collected from the primary research, or talking from the practitioners. Then major are the chartered accountant. They mainly mainly follow 4 to 7 years of practice, age are 30 to 45, mainly in the NBFC sectors. Number of financial client they are handling is approx 6 to 10. Understanding of the GST they are mainly neutral and agree on the same GST rate changes and regulatory reform, neutral and the agreeing response I have got from here. Compliance and the operation impact they green on it. GST, because of the GST the financial service sector has impacted of because of this. Practitioners perception on because of all this are neutral, and on the agreeing side on the following questions that I have asked for. This was the data I have collected from the financial service provider who filed the GST. Mainly the businesses are of the fintech company. I got responses for size of the first, mainly annual turnover is 50 to 100 crores. Age is approx 45 to 60 years of operation is 8 to 15. Does mainly they are 53.3% are outsourcing their GST filing to the CA firms. They not only file in the firms itself. GST framework awareness, they are strongly agreeing on some of the points. Impact of GST reforms on GST implementation has significantly affect the firm's tax structure. They are disagreeing on it because they are mainly outsource their services. Talking about the operational and cost impact, they are disagreeing on it on one of the point of view, because as I already mentioned, they are not in the firm not filing GST by themselves. Adoption strategy, they are on a neutral side. The hypothesis result, I have used a one sample t-test. The p-value is less than 0.05. That indicates there is the relationship between practitioners perceive GST implementation has increased the operation and the cost for the financial service firm. Whereas I have run the same from the financial service provider's point of view, then the p-value is less, but it is minus 3.95. The null hypothesis rejected. The lower mean indicate the financial service provider generally do not perceive the GST implementation as the main component to increase the operational and cost compliance. This we can clearly see because they are mainly outsourcing to the CA firm, so they don't have the technical aspect on how to file and how to go ahead with the GST. Talking about the third hypothesis result, the p-value is less than 0.05. That indicates there is a relationship between the GST framework understanding compliance burden on influence the perception of the practitioners, while the GST rate changes are not significant, that is p-value is greater, indicating the practitioners' perception are mainly driven by the compliance complexity rather than the tax rate changes. The fourth objective result are non-significant. P-value is greater than 0.05. GST framework awareness, perceived impact of GST framework, operation cost and pressure do not significantly explain the firm's adoption to GST reforms. Findings from my objective one is financial service sector are the majorly contributing to our GDP. They cover the banking, insurance, investment service. They follow the dual taxation as well. And from earlier it was a 15%, now charges to 18%. Complex ITC calculation, partial credit availability, and the ITC reversal issue. From the second objective, banking and financial service currently charge 18%. In that, some of the exemption also we saw in the insurance deposits and the health medical as well. Talking about the third findings from the hypothesis is as a charge from the 15 to 80% is mainly IT system upgrade, employee training, multi-state compliance requirement. Primary data shows the statistical significance in the burden from the practitioner's perspective, not from the financial service providers. From the fourth objective, there is a significance result I got from the practitioner's perspective regarding the perception of them. And from the fifth objective, there is no relationship between the GST adoption based on the awareness and compliance aspect because they are mainly outsourced their GST to the different sector. to the CA firms. So suggestion from my research is simplifying the GST guideline can improve the compliance efficiency. There is still room for improvement to simplify the process for the financial service sector, especially even though the rate has increased from 15 to 18. It is just to restructuring the tax rates, improve the communication. There must be a proper GST network, whereas any new changes, reforms will be there that needs to be communicated properly. Strengthen the GST compliance, as GSTN is the main portal that they are using, but for that awareness campaign and the way we are conducting seminar right now, there more seminar needs to be conducted for the same. Limitation is the sample size data collected from the limited people, so the biases will be involved in that. And regression model I have used. Future scope will be number of practitioners, financial firms are involved in the future. Then different factors are also taken into consideration, and the future studies, more deep analysis can be done from the same. Concluding my research will be GST is a boon for the many of the sector, but when we go deep into it, then there is still a room for improvement that financial providers and the GST implementation, they need to check on it. Policymakers need to focus on the certain aspect to reduce the gap between the two. These were the references I have used. This was the annexure of the two different questionnaires I have circulated. Thank you for your time.
Okay, seems to be good study. Okay, so first thing I would like to understand, because it was like a lot of things in 12 minutes. You have conducted both secondary and primary research. Okay, so in the primary research, whom you have actually, kind of asked, who are your respondents?
So in the first one is the practitioners who actually filed the GST. That also
CAs. All are CAs?
Not all are CAs. So here you can see that chartered accountant, tax consultant, GST practitioners, financial consultant, and others.
Okay.
So mainly are the CAs. They are for actually filing the GST and all. And this was the one who actually filing the GST, implement the GST, and one on which the GST actually applicable. That is the financial service providers, the firms. In that, if we check, majorly I got from the fintech company in this area. So in that, what the major finding I got, they don't file GST in their own office, they outsource it to the CA firm. So because of that, I found the gap in the hypothesis as well on the compliance aspect.
Okay, so do you think that is becoming more complicated, the compliance is more complicated?
Yes, because what happens, earlier 15% GST was there, now 18%. There is no much difference in this. Rate increased it. And because of that, end customer will slightly charge a little bit more prices, but it is not you can't catch it in your eyes because it's a minimal. Because when the customer size is large, then it will be reduced the cost. But slightly more increase, you won't catch it on the cost is increased. But what happens in the ITC, that is input tax credit, earlier because of that cascading effect will be reduced. But in the financial service sector, what happens is banks are limited on only 50% of the ITC. Some of the aspect has been covered from the ITC, but other 50% you can't claim in the ITC. So because of that, there is a gap in the compliance as well. And there are multi-stage this structure you need to follow. So in that also compliance and the cost of the firm increase in that. So because of that, practitioners face the compliance burden, but not the actual service providers.
Okay. So one thing, the cost has gone up because it has gone up from 15 to 18. That's what you're saying. Second thing, because of this ITC. Right. Okay. So what you are suggesting is this second round of reform has made it is not good for the financial sector. It has cost. Do you think so?
It is not like that. It is not good for the
I mean, not good means beneficial.
beneficial. Uh, it is like the 18% that current GST is implemented. I asked the question for them from the practitioner's point, service provider. Is the current rate is you are agreeing with it? So majorly neutral or agreeing aspect because they are
Earlier
same.
15, now 18.
18 because
So
not
it hardly
much-
matters.
Okay. From them it's hardly matters because they are outsourcing their services to the CA firms or the
But they are being
consultancy.
charged more, na?
Yes, but it is not, as I already mentioned, slight increase in the percentage. From them, it is not considerable more major cost because when the customer base increases, the cost will automatically down, but not down as much as before. So because of that, they are not seeing the major impact. But when we go deep down in it, then we find a little bit increase in the
So
aspect of it.
compliance issues are there.
Yes.
What do you suggest?
Compliance wise, yes, because when the new reforms and new guidelines are there, there must be a proper GST, one network for the GST payers. In that, whatever the changes are there, there needs to be communicated efficiently throughout the network so that they can implement as per them. Apart from that, awareness campaign needs to be there.
You mean there is lack of awareness?
Before awareness, like first is awareness needs to be there and the training needs to be provided for the same.
To whom?
For the who is actually paying the GST. Because actually the practitioners are facing the burden and not the service provider in the cases. So I've mentioned in the suggestion part as well this point.
Okay, good comprehensive research. Let me ask you one basic question. There is no GST on interest on loan, okay? But there is GST on loan processing fee. What is the logic of that?
Initially they wanted to, initially also there was majorly 18% charges on earlier all the GST were there. Now in GST 2.0 they are exempted the interest on the loan component.
No, it was earlier, exemption was there.
But earlier I guess it was about the 15% and then they have charged on this. So in the domain of the processing fees and the brokerage, they are charging this taxes. So mainly encouraging the more loans on that area. So they are promoting likewise that interest on the loan that you will get that will be exempted on that case.
No, what is the logic behind this? When somebody is going to get loan for the first time, he has to pay the GST.
Right.
Afterward, there is no GST on interest. Is it correct logic?
They mainly charges on the services that they are providing as per the goods and service tax. So the interest that they are getting, it is like based on the market or based on where you have invested on that area. So that is something not come under the services. So because of that, it is not taxable, and the services that we providing all the procedure from KYC, then enrolling the customer, and then doing all the document on behalf of the customer because of the lifestyle and the hard and fast rules. So because of that, they charge.
Okay, good answer. Okay, can we go to statistical analysis? Can you go to regression analysis? What is dependent variable?
In third hypothesis,
You have done regression, no?
regression, yes. So in the third hypothesis, last one, practitioner's perception is my dependent variable. Then compliance is independent variable. This was also GST rate changes, regulatory reforms, and the understanding is these two are also a independent variable. I used the mean of this for all of the 5 questions that I asked, and then I did a regression on the same. Averages of
How many questions were there in the questionnaire?
questionnaire, approx 20 to 25.
Okay. What is your R square?
R square for the hypothesis 3 is 0.7723. 72.3% are the variation from the practitioner's perspective are claimed.
So which is the significant independent variable?
Significant is the GST framework understanding and the compliance one, and not the GST rate changes. That has recently happened, that's 2.01.
That is from practitioner's point of view.
Practitioner's point of view, and from the hypothesis 4, that is from the point of view of the financial service provider. Same way, GST framework awareness is my independent variable, impact on GST framework is independent variable, operational cost independent, and adoption strategy is my dependent variable. Same way I have run the regression. In that, R square is very minimum, but the p-value is greater than 0.05. So there is no relation in this.
Which is the major compliance issue?
Compliance issue, the ITC, input tax credit. In banking, the 50% limit is there, and so they only claim the 50%. Remaining 50%, they need to bear the cost of that. Apart from that, in the multi-state statutory structure, in that, some of are taxable, some are exempt. So in that, earlier there are different taxes you need to pay, octroi and different VAT and all. But there is one rule for that. Now, because of the GST, they are trying to minimize the process and streamline the process, but still for the financial service sector, services as you in the banking, the first one is like depository. While you are availing the service, it is taxable, but interest is not taxable. So in some of them, there are lines that which are the tax, which on what the taxes are applicable, on what taxes are not applicable, exempted. All this makes more compliance driven and more burden on the practitioner's part.
Okay, what was the GST revenue on financial services in last financial year?
GST revenue?
Yeah, GST from financial services.
Overall GST collection is approx 22 lakh CR, and from that, from the financial service is approx 5 to 10% range. There is no proper statistic is available, that the range is available. So approx 2 to 3 crores are from the financial service sector.
Okay. And what is the impact of GST 2.0 on financial services, GST revenue collection?
Revenue collection is not been yet published the data exactly, but the filing and everything has been increased on that part. So it is kind of a mixed reaction, and a mixed reaction I got from the secondary data, and for that I need to see the actual what is the practical implication for that. So I did the primary research. So in that I also got the same same findings.
Okay, so what is your final conclusion?
Final conclusion is there should be a proper network for the GST where any new changes have been made, then it needs to be communicated effectively. Awareness program, the way we have the seminar, that should be a more seminar from the practitioners, the business owners, how to fill the GST and all. There is a GST ETN government portal.
Who will do that communication?
Sorry?
Who will do that communication? Whose responsibility is this?
In the firm level, if you see, the practitioners can do that. Multiple practitioners who is doing that, they can organize a seminar collectively for their how to file the GST, what are the amendments, what are the changes, so that the compliance and the tax compliance and the procedure will be more smooth on that area.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
We now have an online presentation. Our presenters are Dr. Arun Kumar and Dr. Ritu Singh, code number 005, and their research title is GST Reforms and Sectoral Growth in India, a legal and policy analysis of manufacturing, services, e-commerce, insurance, healthcare, and real estate.
Good afternoon to the respected members. I, Dr. Anil Arun Kumar, and I'm showing my slides. Ma'am and sir, is my slide is visible to you? Hello.
Yes, yes, we can see it. It's visible.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, the title of my presentation is the GST reforms in India: legal and policy analysis of sectorial growth. Now, going to my next slide is the GST reforms in India. As showing in my slide that the GST introduced a unified tax system replacing multiple indirect taxes. And the second thing is it aims to
Excuse me.
improve.
Can you just make your PPT full screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you
ma'am.
just stop sharing and then make it full screen F5, I think, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, Hello. If you are facing problem, let's continue. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
If you're facing problem, let's continue like that only.
Yes, ma'am. Continue.
Okay. You can just share the screen and start your
Yes.
presentation. We can see you.
The title of my presentation is the GST reforms in India: legal and policy analysis of sectoral growth. Now, moving to my second slide, which tells about the GST reforms in India, and the first point over it is GST introduction, a unified tax system replacing multiple indirect taxes. And the point number two is it aims to improve transparency, efficiency, and ease of doing business. Now, I'm moving towards my introduction of the topic is before the GST, India had a complex tax system causing cascading taxes. And the second point is the GST simplified taxation and created a common national market. Ma'am, my slide number four is about the legal framework of the GST. Ma'am, GST is based on the 101st Constitutional Amendment Act 2016. It includes CGST, SGST, IGST, and is governed by the GST Council. And moving towards my the next slide, which is manufacturing sector. Mm, Over it, my the points are GST reduced production costs by removing cascading taxes. It improved logistics efficiency and increased investments. Moving towards my the next slide, which are the services sector. Over it, my first point is GST unified service taxation and improved compliance. And the next point is, yes, ma'am. And the second point is, however, multiple state registrations increase complexity. Now, the use of GST in the e-commerce. GST introduced TCS, increasing transparency in online transactions. It also formalized many small digital businesses. Ma'am, the use of GST in the insurance sector. GST increased tax rate but improved transparency in operations. And the another thing is input tax credit help reduce operational inefficiencies. Now the use of GST in the healthcare sector. Over it, my first point is healthcare services are mostly exempt to ensure affordability. And the next thing is, however, GST on equipment increases operational costs. The use of GST in the real estate sector. GST simplified taxation and improved transparency in real estate, and restrictions on input tax credit remain a major issue. Use of GST in the judicial developments. Courts have clarified GST provisions through important judgments. Mohit Mineral case limited binding nature of GST council. Ma'am, the Mohit Mineral is a case law which I have mentioned over here in the judicial developments. Now, the challenges which we are facing over to amplify the GST, GST still faces issues like complex compliance and multiple tax slabs. Small businesses struggle with technical and procedural burdens. Now, the policy recommendations which I would like to give over my presentation is simplify GST rates and improve digital infrastructure. Second, enhance dispute resolution and reduce compliance burden. And the conclusion of my slide is GST has improved tax efficiency and economic integration. Further reform are needed for long-term sectoral growth. Thank you, ma'am. Hello,
Just wait for the questions. Okay.
ma'am. My slide
Okay.
is over.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
What is this input tax credit? I'm
Ma'am,
sorry, I
what?
started from between. Uh, First of all, I want nice presentation. But the first thing which I would like to ask you is, which sector you thought, or according to you, benefited most from this GST reform?
Ma'am, according to me, in the real estate sector, there is a GST, but there is a hidden work which are flowing through the cash flow by which the GST is not shown, as per my opinion.
Real estate sector.
Yes,
Okay.
because many of the transactions are done with the cash flow, not through the medium of the checks and the medium of the online transactions by which they can show, they can hide. So by hiding their cash flow, they are hiding the actual amount which they are paying, through which the tax is not appropriating paying to the government.
Okay. Uh, Let me discuss about, means ask a question about your methodology. What is the methodology you used? What kind of data you used to study the impact on various sectors? Because you have covered almost all the sector, I think.
Ma'am, basically we chooses the online methodology. The second is which we collect the data from the online sources and from the other sources like the books and all the things.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So why you decided to study all the sector?
Ma'am, basically because the GST is covering all the sector, that's why we choose all the things and like to show all the impacts of the GST in all the sectors.
Okay. Now I'll come to the question. you discussed something or you mentioned something like input tax credit and its impact. So what do you think? What are the impact of input tax credit on various sectors? Because you have chosen almost all the sectors.
Ma'am, sorry, but please you repeat your question.
Okay, what is the impact of input tax credit on the sectors which you have studied? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, the basically the thing is the in the manufacturing area the biggest winner is the reduction of the cost. So if the cost of the product will decrease, it only decreases when the cost of the goods which we are purchasing for making, means the raw material for making any goods, and by implied over the tax for the raw material, and after making the goods then also enforcing the tax, so that the tax are imposing and the price of the goods are costing. And in the service sector like IT, banking, it is a central distribution like the input service distributor are the mechanism which are allows all the things.
Okay. Do you think this slab can be further simplified as you have suggested? This
Ma'am,
GST slabs?
ma'am, it must have to the changes needs some changes, because
Right.
the changes in various sectors like in the healthcare sector, I more prefer that the government should reduce the tax over the healthcare, because all the people are not even capable to pay all the amount and pay all the things. Even after the government is providing the many healthcare benefits, over after it many are unable to take a good medical treatment.
Okay, okay. Thank you. I request Dr. Sandeep to carry it further.
Okay, Mr. Arun, uh,
Yes, sir.
you are having a very long title. My
Okay.
first question is, what are the legal aspects of GST?
Sir, legal aspects of GST. Sir, the legal aspects of the GST are, which I say, that it is a constitutional foundation, that it is framed under the 101st constitutional law of the India, and the GST is taken by all the legal things and taking all the and views all the laws that are made over a country.
Okay, who is having legal right to impose GST?
Sir, the Ministry of Finance and sir, the Ministry of Finance.
Okay, so it is government of India or state governments?
Sir, the GST is basically run by the government of India, but over the few things we have to taken the SGST, the state GST also, for the use of the for using the state things, but over the many things it is controlled by the central government only.
Okay, what are the policy aspects of GST?
Sir, policy aspects, sir, it is, sir, sorry to say, but unable to answer this as belong from the law background.
Okay, let me simplify it. Do you think it is a policy tool for government?
Yes, sir, because all the policies and all the framework are made by the government, so it is a policy. That's why.
Okay, so GST 2.0 is used as a policy tool.
Yes, sir. In many cases, the GST 2.0 is good. Like it focuses basically in the compliances that which we are getting, and in the technology over also, like the paying through the online apps and all the things.
Okay, you mentioned about different GST rates. What are the legal and policy hurdles in having one unified GST rate in India?
Sir, can you please your question?
See, the basic concept of GST is that there should be one GST rate all over the country. Okay, that is the
Yes.
basic idea of GST.
Yes,
In
sir.
India, as per GST 2.0, there are three GST rates. Okay.
Yes.
Suppose we want one unified GST rate, what should be done?
Sir, they must make a law over the things that they should impose a fixed rate over all the things and charge a fixed rate of fixed GST over all the goods, by which the GST slab will not collapse and not getting changed over the things. And not they should select the things as a luxury over or the things like the standard rate and all.
Okay, but how it will be possible?
Sir, as we all know that the luxury item can only be pursued or only the purchased by the richer section, which are more than the 0.5% of the total population of our country, and the normal standard rate product are purchased by the more than not more than the 10% of our total population. So if they can charge the normal rate and the same rate, then they can also get the same amount. Because if the person who are taking the merit it like the not the standard things but is purchasing the just below to the standard thing, they will also they can also purchase that products, by which they will face all the things and get all the amount which they are charging in the luxury item the higher amount, and the lower person will also purchase the standard rate, and by that the somewheres the transaction will less, but somehow the another from another place the transaction will increase.
Okay, what is your overall conclusion and insights from this research?
Sir, my overall conclusion is that the this is the best thing that imposing such a thing in a nation, because earlier we have to pay all another kind of that taxes like the income tax and all the other taxes, but right now we have not to pay any another or more taxes. And the main important thing is that the GST has made all the things clear and crystal transactions for taxes, that nothing can be hidden with anyone.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Arun.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you to all our participants. We now request our session chairs, Dr. Sandeep Kudkarkar and Dr. Simi Prasad, to provide their feedback on the paper presentations.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. And first of all, I would like to thank the organizer, Dr. Smita, Dr. Natika, for inviting me to chair the session. Uh, First of all, I would like to begin by appreciating the presenters for a very good presentation, well-structured presentation, insightful papers on the impact of GST reform on various sectors. In some of the papers, some of the studies were really good and quite insightful. I'm sure all of us have really benefited a lot, and we really got enriched by the presentation. And the presentation, some presentation clearly highlighted how the introduction of GST in 2017, which aimed at simplifying the indirect taxation system by replacing multiple taxes with unified framework, has impacted various sectors and how various sectors have benefited. So one of the key takeaways which I would say from the paper, I will just refer to what presented today was the impact on the revenue as well as the compliance issues, okay, and how various sectors have, especially in various, you know, real estate, for example, has you know, it has impacted the growth of the sector. However, the presentation brought out some important concern also, like the compliance issues, the input tax credit issues, as well as the paradox where policy designed to reduce tax burden may not fully achieve the intended benefit, right? For example, a lot of paper also highlighted that how the this new compliance issue has complicated the things, right? So another interesting insight was the trend analysis showing how the trend has in terms of consumption, in terms of increase in government revenue share has gone up. Okay, so as a researcher, I would like to comment that because we normally are very used to seeing research paper, like having a lot of primary data and data analysis. So these things, you know, most of the papers, except for one or two, lacked any primary data as a because as a part of the analysis, and secondary data also not much reflected here, because research is about knowing very much about little things, more about little things. So it is better to select a small area. That's why we have this various sectors divided here, and know more about it. So what I would say is it is just a suggestion, and that if the researchers may include primary data or the factual data, if not primary data, the facts and figures, because that make things more clear and more impactful for the listeners or for all of us to understand. Overall, it was a good experience. I also learned a lot, and I hope all of you have also learned a lot about GST, because we keep on talking about GST, and a lot of people criticize it also, but now today we are in a position to understand what are the benefits and what are the concerns. So thank you so much, the organizer, for inviting me, and thank you presenters for presenting insightful papers, and thank you all the attendees for very good listeners. Thank you.
Thank you to the session chairs for their presence and for judging the paper presentations as well.
We will now distribute the certificates of paper presentation to the participants. We request Simi ma'am and Sandeep sir to kindly distribute the certificates as we call out the participants. Ms. Priyanka Sharma. Apurva Kanodia. Is she here? Hiral Mishra and Sumedha Maheshwari. Ms. Mehak. Everyone please clap for them. Thank you very much, ma'am and sir. The winners will be announced during the validatory sessions after the panel discussion.
We will now have a break for lunch and networking. The arrangements for the participants are made on the first floor in the terrace area. We request everyone to kindly reassemble in the auditorium, in the assembly hall, I'm sorry. And thank you, and please enjoy your lunch.